So now that we've conquered and gone through how to solve the last two centers of a supercube, such as this, using that algorithm, the next part is edge pairing. Now, edge pairing, we by no means can rest easily on our laurels with this either, because this is a barrel cube, and as had been shown, when you put edges in, we have to make sure that they're oriented correctly. So we see this, does this come over here, or is it on the wrong side? Well, what I would do to help delineate that is let's actually put these where they're supposed to be. In other words, line the edges up to the proper place and see if it kind of makes sense. So I'm just going to move this in here and then move this in to where I think it's supposed to go. So turn here, here, kind of a long convoluted way of doing it, but basically I want this to be in an orange center to see how it's supposed to be. Is it going to be coordinated like this? Probably not. So this has to come over here. Now this is going to be important because if I put these in wrong, I'm going to end up with parities that I really don't want. So what I'm going to do is move this up. And that doesn't go into there, so I'm going to move this down, across, up, and back. Okay, that way I can try to move these into where they're supposed to be, but all of these are actually supposed to go up here. So this flat end is supposed to be up. Okay, so it looks like this is correctly placed. This is correctly placed over here. So I'm just going to let this kind of be my anchor. And because I have this coordinated to where the orange is next to the blues are going to be in. This is not correct where it is. So it takes a little bit of doing to decide which is going to be parity and which is not. So I'm going to move this here and then ask myself, is this fitting here nicely? And yes, because this flat part is going to go on top. So we'll move it down, across. So really it's just a matter of positioning these things correctly and trying my hardest not to get lost. I'll just move this up here. So I do take these extra steps so that I don't end up with having to retrace my steps at the end. So this is going to obviously come over here. So I'm just going to set it up. As such, I have to kind of skew my orientation here, realizing that I'm not doing centers anymore, I'm doing edges. And this will come down like so, but this doesn't really fit so good over there. So this is the wrong edge. I don't want to create parity. It's actually going to be this edge, which will come down here real nice. So turn, turn. And that's the whole thing. It's kind of a painstaking process at times. But at the end of the day, you'll have a solved puzzle. So this is okay here. Let me just put these in. Even the movement is a little more user-friendly, a little easier, as I don't have to worry about flipping the centers around. This is just to demonstrate that if I put the wrong one in here, things will be upside down, and I'll find myself having to retrace my steps. So this is fine over here. This is what I'm going to stick with. Might as well put that in a position. Now I'm going to find the blue, but the proper oriented blue. So which one? Was this one going to fit? Well, for all intents and purposes, it looks like yes, because you see the flat end over here. Maybe what I can do, I'll just move this here actually, or does this belong over here? Well, we'll have to see. So let's operate based on that theory, and we'll move this in here. Of course, we have this. We can try this one out for size. That one obviously doesn't fit. So we'll find the other blue. So we're continuing on with filling this in. Now, obviously, I can't fill it with one color of the same side. I've got to put the blue one in here, and I've got to make sure that it's the right blue one. So we're looking at this one to find that it's not correct. So how about this guy over here? We have to move this down here and across That's not going to work there. This guy over here. What if I move this, not over there, but I move it down over here and here. So even after the two centers, or the last two centers, still a challenge over here. So this needs to come here. Now, I could do that now, or I could just start putting in the other blues that come here. Kind of line that up with it. Here's this. Does this belong here? Well, move this here, move this here. Maybe I can move these two en masse into here if it belongs. Does it belong? Sure. Maybe. Well, can't hurt to try. So turn, 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 and up. Taking careful care not to destroy what I've just done. And as I look at it, I don't think this really matches. But I'll keep it there for the time being. And move this down. So turn this here. Turn. 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 And up. Okay, so as I'm looking at this, you can see how really this doesn't fit. This is okay over here, but these two, forget about it. So, which means that they must belong over here. So I can actually anticipate that. Move this here, 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 and up. So at least I got this in, even if it's not the right place. This one is something that's probably going to find a home here. So turn, turn, and this is no choice but to come down here with this matching to this. So move this down without popping anything. Turn, 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 and up. And we put the last one in, which might be this one, might not be this one. But only way to find out is to find out. So turn this down here. Bring it up. So basically what I'm demonstrating with these corners is it's a little difficult because you have to have two colors and you have to know which ones to put in. So this looks okay here. Turn, turn. Plus you have to be very careful that you don't mess up your edges, and I've done that before where I actually move one of the centers like it were one of the edges and completely mess me up again, which is painful. Okay, so this is in. This is our first corner, rather our first edge pairing, and I'm just going to continue with that, but I'm going to have to line it up with the proper centers, or I could get myself a little bit messed up. So we'll turn this down here. Turn, 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 and turn. Okay. Now the question is, what comes right next to this? Well, this is on the top, so this is going to be pointed to the top, and this is going to be pointed to the barrel portion of it. So here's the top over here, and we've got a red over here. Now this isn't lined up correctly, but if I did line it up correctly, you would see what I mean. Because actually, now that I think of it, it might be the light green. So which one is it? Well, it's going to be the light green because this purple in this configuration is not going to end up over here. So what comes next is light green, and I'm not going to correlate it with the top anymore. For the first time, I'm just going to take a look at the curved and straight technique and try it like that. So I know that this is curved and this is straight, so this can come down here. This all has to be straight. Whoop. And this is upside down, so let's see what happens. This one I can tell is going to be correct. So for a second solve, I'm already starting to get some familiarity with this. And like I say, my goal has never been to be a specialist with any one particular puzzle. And if I find myself getting too familiar with one, I move on. So anyway, this comes down to here. So turn, that looks nice. Turn, 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 turn. All right, how about this guy over here? Well, this is a straight portion here. Oh, but we already have this in here. So another green, here's another green. How are we looking here? So I'm not going to falsely equivocate these because I can tell everything has a particular place. This does not belong down here. Straight, this straight is over here. So if I really want the straight scoop, I'm going to have to use something like this. Now does this belong? This can actually go down here because this is straight, this is curved. So this belongs here. Turn, turn, turn. Alright, and this is a popped piece. Look how easy that was. No problems, right? Did I panic? Thank goodness you didn't see the look of panic on my face. Yes, I panicked. Okay, only because that piece had never popped out before. So, what do we got now? This one. This one looks like it belongs. So, let's wheel it up. Wheel it across. Actually, it did belong down here. And wheel this over here. Okay, this straight will match this. I gotta fit it in the center here. To do that, I'm just gonna move this middle part like so. And then turn, replace it with this one. Turn it in, and put this middle part, quick as I can, back. So that's okay. Turn. What I really enjoy about these puzzles is the fact that to solve this, I needed no new algorithms. I'm just using strategies on top of the algorithms that we already know. And I was destined to discover that, or I was determined rather to discover that I just knew no matter how hard it seemed or how impossible it seemed, there must be a way given what's already known. Because ultimately, this is just an 8x8 supercube in disguise. And I should be able to move things around by those mechanisms. So we're good over here. This puzzle, I'll tell you, actually represents kind of the final frontier of mods and supercubes. Because to solve this with algorithms used, being an even layered monster, means that to solve this, you basically can solve any supercube. Because you had to use techniques that you did not have to use. There's no shortcuts, there's no quote cheating, there's no handicaps. It's all pretty much guts and glory with this. Turn, move this over here. So this purple can come down here. Now we're slowly getting to our last two edges. So there should be another edge, this one. Well, no, this is the one that we're using, this one and this one. And actually, we probably are on the last two edges. Now, the reason why I couldn't tell at first, because the last two edges encompasses 4 different colors. So we have to know the relative position of things. In that, I know that the dark green is going to have to be here, and that's where you see it. But we have only 2 colors here, which is a blue and a yellow. So now I have to decide how that's going to be coordinated, how that's going to be organized. Here's a blue and yellow over here. Let's just make sure that that makes sense. Up here, so the green is going to be the same side as the red. I have to remember that. So this is going to be green and yellow, and this one is going to be red and blue. So, with that bit of knowledge, knowing that the green is going to have to be here, I'm going to coordinate my last two centers, my last two edges as such, which is a little bit of a challenge. So here's what I would do. I know that the blue is supposed to be over here, and I know that the green is supposed to be kind of lined up with this in the same plane. So I'm going to work on flipping certain things. I want this green to come here, and this yellow to come here. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip all of these down to here and all of these over to here. Because at least this way I'll have most of my greens down here, although my blue, if I can put the blue in, if I can flip this upside down, that would be even better, because now I'm exchanging blues like that. So why don't we do that? Move this over here. I'm not worried about parity with this so much. And I'll tell you why, show you why. Okay, so now if I do this, blue's going to be here, and green is going to be here, which is a good start, I suppose. Because if green is over here, that's going to end up upside down, but at least we'll be putting the blue here. So let's just do it and see what happens. So this algorithm, we move this over to here, and then we do R, Fi, U, Ri, F, UI. Okay, that had the intended effect, where these are brought closer to where we want it to be. Now we're not too happy with the greens here. I actually want the greens to be up over here. So let's see how we can coordinate this. Now this is by no means the best way of doing it. It's just how I'm doing it for now. There's probably a bunch of easier ways that you guys are probably thinking about right now, even as I speak. And I welcome you to let me know. But in any case, now what I want to do, I actually have this where I want it to be. I want this green to end up down here and this blue to end up over here. So I'm just taking it by sections, section by section. So this green needs to come down to here, and this blue needs to come up to here. So these two are going to be swapping, basically, if I cut it over here. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to bring this over here now and do the same thing. R, Fi, U, Ri, F, and I just have to remember what needs to be brought back, and that's this. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've done, and it's coming along nicely. This is where it needs to be, this is where it needs to be, so what now needs to flip? Well, it would be nice if we can flip these two now, right? So to flip those, once again, now we're going to flip from this side here, turn this over here, and go like R, Fi, U, Ri, F, and flip it back. Okay, and that fixed it. So this is in and this is in. These are where they need to be. Now you may say, yeah, but these are flipped, but that's okay. We can actually flip that back. In other words, this can move completely independently of this. You may think, well, this is a parity, these guys need to flip. I don't know that they need to do that. Let's see if we can actually coordinate it to where it doesn't need to do that. Prove it to myself that it doesn't need to do that, because I think that this is the easy part of this puzzle, the only easy part. So as you can see, you're fine over there. All right, so what we have now done is we have now converted this into a run-of-the-mill barrel cube.